Well, the common problems with cash, let's start with a new company that's just starting its business, just opening its doors. The biggest problem a new startup faces is they generally don't start the business with enough cash on hand. They might start their business thinking as soon as they start selling products, then there will be a lot of demand and interest for my business. Therefore, I'll bring in plenty of cash that will cover my payroll and my rent and my other expenses. The problem is many companies might take 6 months or a year, maybe 2-3 years, in order to generate enough cash to cover their expenses. So the number one problem for a company just starting up is they don't start with enough available cash in reserve. So that's probably the number one. If you then look at larger companies, probably the challenge that many large companies are facing today is that they are not sure what to do with their extra cash. So they've been very good at generating profits, they've been good at generating cash, and now they need to get more creative as to what they're going to do with that cash. Part of that is many companies have cash in overseas accounts, and they're doing that because maybe they're in a country that has high tax rates. For example, the United States has the highest corporate tax rate in the world. So a lot of US-based companies have their cash sitting in overseas accounts, and they need to be more creative in how to use that cash. So that's a challenge large companies are facing, is what do they do with the extra cash they've generated? They can't sit on it, can't let it sit in the bank because that doesn't generate a return. So how do they creatively reinvest it in the business or maybe give it back to shareholders? I find that companies usually focus on 6 things when they're trying to improve their cash position. One is how to generate more sales in the business. Certainly if you generate more sales, that improves your cash position. The second is they're looking to reduce cost. So they're looking at any way to become more efficient, more effective in the business. And so anything that they can do to reduce costs will also preserve that. They're also looking for ways to collect any cash owed to them sooner. So if they sell their products and services and their customers don't pay them for maybe 90 or 120 days, they're looking for ways to shorten that payment cycle. Maybe they'll get their invoices more accurate. Maybe they'll improve their customer relations so their customers will pay faster. But that's a third thing companies will do to improve cash. A fourth is they'll pay slower. And so they might get creative in ways to have their suppliers wait longer before they pay them. It's very common today that many companies aren't paying their suppliers for 90, maybe 120 days. That's different than what it used to be 5, 6, 7 years ago, where most companies paid their bills in about 30 days. Now they're pushing it out farther. A fifth thing you can do to improve cash is to lower your inventories without impacting your sales. So for example, if you've got a large company that's a retailer, they may be sitting on a lot of inventory, and that ties up cash. So if they can figure out how to lower their inventory without impacting sales, that will improve their cash as well. And then a last one is capital expenditures, or those expenditures for property, plant, and equipment that probably has a long life to it. And some companies, this is more of a short-term strategy. If they're struggling with cash, they may hold off on those capital expenditures. They may wait to buy that building or wait to get that new piece of equipment. And so putting off capital expenditures will also preserve cash, but that's more of a short-term move. Because of course over the long run, if you're not replenishing, refurbishing, and maintaining your property, plant, equipment, then you may run into trouble down the road.